Welcome to the Just Fantasy Baseball Podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, Vince D'Amato. My name is Rami Levy. So we're both here today, which is great. And we got some headlines. But first, a PSA to all the listeners out there. Important public service announcement. Set your lineups. Don't forget to set your lineups. I'm currently losing this week, and I might lose this week because, and I still have a chance because I have Bryce Harper and I also have Alec Boehm going tonight. Bryce Harper with a 3-run homer, so pretty good. But I might, if I lose this week, a big part of it is going to be I lost the strikeout category by 6 strikeouts because I forgot to set my lineup Saturday morning. And Clark Schmidt had 7 strikeouts on Saturday. That would have been the swing. That's all I needed. It's a terribly frustrating feeling. So to avoid this feeling in the future for everyone else out there, set your damn lineup. It also makes the league a better place because it makes it more fun when everyone's engaged. So with that, I kick it over to Vince. Good evening. How you doing, sir?
Good. It's Cinco de Mayo. Just had some tacos, right? You got to celebrate a little bit.
Tacos,
margaritas.
You like, I got tacos, and I was like, right, okay, cool.
Yeah. So just got back from that, and Cubs won today, so that was a good victory over Freddie Peralta. I'm doing great. Baseball's in full swing. Can't complain. A lot of fun, exciting news happening. So
the Yankees swept your Tigers.
I think the Tigers are still, what are they, 18-14 though? They still look good overall. Their offense has been horrible, and they're still hanging on. So
they're not 23-13. I'll tell you that much.
That's the Yankees. That's the Yankees, and they're still not in first place. Your Yankees.
I know, 23-11. The Baltimore Orioles. My God, yeah. Riley Green had a great week though for the Tigers.
Yeah, he did.
Was he your MVP? Oh,
no,
we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Oh, he might be. Yeah. Keep it. He might be.
Here are my headlines. You might have some, but I think the number one biggest headline, Luis Arraez, a guy who we don't love on this podcast, but we don't hate. We just thought he was overdrafted. Was traded to the San Diego Padres. Do you just lose lighting or power?
This light. I don't know if you've ever noticed it. Sometimes it like flicks on and off. I don't know what it is. I think I just need a new lamp. But yeah. Anyways, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, Arraez traded. And that was a weird situation. I don't know if you saw all the videos going out around. I thought his video where he sat down and gave like this goodbye speech to the running cameras in front of the Marlins dugout on Bally Sports when no one would, he did a self-interview before the game, was really cool. And then obviously during the game, he's just sitting there waiting because it wasn't official yet. So he's just sitting in the dugout, knowing he's been traded, waiting in the dugout. And then the last thing was the minor league guys, a guy was literally on second base and gets called off the field because he's in the trade going the other way to Miami. Miami felt like they should have gotten more. And then from a fantasy perspective, because it's a fantasy show, 4 hits in his first at bat or his first 4 at bats with San Diego. So off to a hot start, and San Diego's been good. This could ultimately change our outlook on him because all of a sudden his production numbers could go way up. Right? His RBIs could go way up in that lineup. So I like it fantasy-wise. If you're an Arraez owner, it's good for you.
And I didn't realize, I mean, I looked, obviously the 311 average is nice, but he's got 24 runs, which, in a
Very
terrible
solid
Marlins team. Yeah. And I'll take, like you said, his numbers will probably go up a little bit now that he's on San Diego. We could be looking at a 100 plus run guy here pretty easily. Only 6 RBIs and no home runs and no steals. So again, actively hurting you in other categories. But if you have those categories filled, just know what kind of player you're getting out of Luis Arraez.
He's going to get you hits and he's going to get you runs. He's not even going to get you a great on base, by the way. You know what I mean?
Well, so 350, that's
Yeah, but 350 considering he's batting 313 is absurd. Yeah. Like that is abysmal. It's really not good. Other news. Christian Scott made his major league debut. He was fantastic yesterday. It's a shame the Mets get swept, obviously, in Tampa, and that was a tough series for Mets fans. Not me. I'm not a Mets fan, but tough series for the Mets, tough series for a Mets fan. But I don't think did we talk about him on our, I think I mentioned him on our last prospect report. I kind of threw him out there like, hey, what do you think? And then he comes up because I was already starting to hear rumors about that. He's up, he's here, and he already looks fantastic. And you know what he said after the game? They asked him, they're like, hey, were you nervous? Was it tough? He's like, no, I could get guys out at any level. I was confident. This is easy. Hey, that's good to hear.
Yeah, he's a confident guy, and I remember talking about him when the Mets did their little Julio Tehran, kind of
Oh, for
experiment,
sure.
whatever that was, because I was like, just bring up this guy, like you have him, he's right here.
Right,
Why are
he's
you
here.
surviving? Don't ask me. I don't know. I don't run a team, but yeah, he's the real
You don't?
deal. I mean, I run fantasy teams, which
8 of them.
yeah, nine.
9.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. Some of them have actually not been doing because I focus on some more than others, which I don't know. Once you start getting too many leagues, that's just kind of how it goes. So some of them are not doing too hot, and
Can't even
those are
keep
getting
track of
pushed to
one
the
league,
side.
apparently,
So,
as you heard earlier.
but yeah, no, Christian Scott, good call out. I super happy for him. I picked him up in a few leagues. So if he's still available, go grab him because he's going to be a very usable fantasy guy moving forward.
In other pitcher debut news, Walker Buehler making his debut on Monday. That's big. It's big for fantasy. It's big for obviously the Dodgers. This is a guy who's been out. I mean, if he can stay healthy, we know what he's capable of. Can he stay healthy? Is the question.
Yeah. And I think he will. We'll see. I mean, I'm not expecting him to come back to ace level status, maybe ever. This is the second Tommy John, and we'll see. But I imagine the Dodgers will be able to baby him a little bit, right? They have a lot of depth, and that's kind of been their plan, right? Glass now they don't pitch. They're not planning to throw him for 200 innings, stuff like that. So I think they anticipate going a little slow. And if you remember, right, the reason why Buehler hasn't debuted yet was not because of injury concern. He was ready to go at the start of the season, but they said, no, we want you for the end of the year. So we're going to push you off and wait and hold on. So he's been healthy, hasn't been any issue for that. But just excited to see him back, and we'll see what he's capable of. I wouldn't go out and trust him right away. I don't know I forget who he's starting against, but or I don't know if it's been announced yet. I haven't looked, but
It's Monday, so Dodgers
tomorrow.
Yeah, schedule. I guess it's the Marlins. So I would
maybe that's one I roll out for. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what you can do. But yeah, that's a good call out.
The most recent news as far as pitchers, a guy who was supposed to start either tomorrow or the next day, Joe Musgrove, hitting the IL now with elbow inflammation again. I mean, I don't want to have this conversation again. We're not. But it's just unfortunate. It's another guy.
Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time. And I actually had this a friend called me a couple days ago talking about, and he
on the phone.
Yeah, I know. We do that sometimes. I don't get it. It's kind of weird. It's kind of awkward. No, we were talking about
the FaceTime. You don't even have FaceTime. You don't have an iPhone.
No. We called on, audio. Hey, Rami, how you doing? Hey, this is Vince.
I wouldn't know. All right.
Yeah, no. And we're just talking about, some of the reasons. I guess one of the biggest reasons, according to numbers, is like the way that some pitchers throw their changeups, like, they almost like a backwards kind of thing. And so that does elbow inflammation. And I don't know Joe Musgrove's
repertoire.
Repertoire. That's the word. Thank you. I don't know that off the top of my head, but we're just seeing it, constantly all over, whether it's the loss of the spider tack, whether it's the pitch clock. Again, we've talked about it. It's just a combination of things. And it's unfortunate because Musgrove's an excellent pitcher, right? When he's on, he's a, top 20, top 25 guy. And
he throws
just robbing us.
8% changeup. So he's mostly a four seam cutter, curveball, sweeper, slider, and then throws in a little change and a little sinker.
Sure. So a lot of different pitches, right? A lot of different movements.
Yeah, but he's throwing like 80%,
that.
Fastball or cut fastball, but fastball,
sure,
curveball, slider,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at his Savant now. Yeah, I see.
I'm looking at his Savant as well.
Beautiful. What a great
baseball
website.
Savants is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a good website. Shout out Sarah Langs. She's a big baseball savant. It was her birthday last week. So, or over the weekend. I don't remember which one. So shout out. Happy birthday. One of the best in the business. Also, Minnesota had 112 straight prior to today. That was crazy. And they got Johan Duran back. Did you see his new closer entrance? I don't know.
Was it trumpets? No, maybe not.
No,
maybe I missed it then.
No, you got to watch this. It's Minnesota. People are saying it's better than the entrance.
Oh, maybe that's what I saw
for Diaz.
Sure,
it's not better. It's almost as good, which is still saying something because I still think like the Mets took it to another level with Edwin Diaz And apparently Edwin Diaz can't pitch without the trumpets because he blew the save today, which, again, one game, but it's frustrating for Mets fans.
Yeah, he also blew that one against the Cubs, too. He gave up the home run to Morel. So, yeah.
How about how that series ended?
Oh,
I
it was
mean,
awesome.
the flu game,
Yeah.
Lindor, dude.
Yeah, it's a great series. Even though we
Lindor
split,
looks like he's all the way back, by the way. He looks good.
I kind of wish if we were doing a who's hot, who's not, or a buy low sell. I mean, yeah, Lindor would be on one of those lists.
Hey, we got
I'm
it.
saying if
Wednesday, Thursday, we'll get there.
Maybe he'll be talked about.
We'll see. A little foreshadowing there. Now, do you have any other headlines? Because headlines can be a joint segment. I have last time I totally the Mike Trout thing just like slipped my mind, and you caught it luckily. It led to a whole great conversation. So I don't know if there are any other headlines that I missed, but those are the ones that I over the course of the weekend I compiled.
Those are a lot of the big ones. The only other one that I may mention, well, there's two. One of them I think will lead right into my waiver wire pickups, but I think there's a chance that, I guess he's not eligible to return for a little while because I saw Shane Baz is back and throwing, and he threw 3 innings in AAA, but doesn't look like he's eligible to come back until May 22nd. So keep Shane Baz on your radar.
Bullpen session.
Yep, Garrett Cole's another one.
I like that.
A lot of guys, especially when these injuries happen for pitchers, you just got to kind of be aware of when are they coming back, because you can really jump on a lot of guys who maybe were dropped in some leagues, and there's a lot of value to be had out there. So,
or if you're making a trade, a lot of people like to offer me trades in our league, the Sandlot League, where people like to offer me someone who's hurt. And it's like, hey, we'll give you this guy, but when he comes back, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be sitting on my hands for the next 6 weeks potentially. So if and if you're in a league with people who like to do that, then you could take advantage of that as well. Now, I will give you a little nudge into the waiver wire pickups, because you said you have a headline that leads right into it. Who is your waiver wire pickup, and what is your headline?
So my waiver wire pickup and my headline is that Steven Kwan is going on the IL, and that means that the call-up looks like it's going to be Kyle Manzardo for the Cleveland Guardians. He's a first baseman, and I was really hoping this guy would make it out, onto the team from spring training, and he didn't. So, whatever. I don't understand it, but I get it. Naylor's been killing it over there. Anyways, but with Kwan going down, Manzardo's coming up. If you haven't been following Manzardo since his minor league season began this year, you should have, because he's got 9 home runs in 23 games so far. Just absolute tank. He's killing the ball. He's hitting 303. I just don't know what playing time is going to look like, but he's a pickup in every league. I mean, size, unless it's, an 8-team league, maybe you're not picking him up. 8-team really small, but anything bigger than that, 10s and 12s, yeah, you should be grabbing him. He's got big time power. And the thing I like about him too is he has a very safe floor. He's got a good field to hit. He could be a career 280 hitter, and I won't be shocked. I mean,
and what about when Kwan comes back?
So that's a good question. And I think it depends on how he plays, right? If he comes up and hits 300 and continues to mash, why would you send him down, right? They'll find somebody else. I don't know who that's going to be or what that's going to look like, but
maybe not send him down, but does he lose playing time? Yep.
Why? I mean, again, and it depends. It totally depends on how he plays, but if he's one of their hot bats, why would you, right? Versus if he pulls a Jackson Holiday and goes 0 for 30 or whatever, why keep him up? So it's one of those that you pick him up because he's got such a good, safe floor, like a prospect floor, right? Nobody has a safe floor, but relative, he's got a good floor and he's got a lot more potential. So, especially on a team that's competing and doing really well. So pick up Kyle Manzardo.
I got 2 for you. The first one's a weird one, but Nolan Schanuel.
Shanwell.
Yeah. I knew how to pronounce his name. In the last week, his on base is 455. He's got 2 home runs, only 2 RBIs because he plays for the Angels. But he's been good. He hasn't gotten a ton of plate appearances, but as he starts to get hotter, I assume he'll get more in that Angels lineup. So a guy who's not rostered in many leagues, only like 5% rostered in Yahoo leagues, and hey, could give you something.
Yeah, Nolan, he was, I don't know if you followed him at all, but he was drafted actually last year, and him and Zach Neto came up, and They were, I mean, I think they've had some of the shortest time from being drafted to playing in the major leagues that we've ever seen
And Neto's
in
kind of hot
history.
too.
Yeah. So
Of
2
late.
guys, young guys, hopefully they're core pieces. Shanwell, though, he's not going to give you a lot of power. He's got 3 home runs. I'm expecting maybe
2 of them in the
15.
last week, though. So hey, has he
Yeah.
turned the corner?
No.
Okay.
Maybe I'll double check his exit velocities, but he's a high floor, good field to hit kind of guy. You know, he's only hitting 230, but I think it's a good call out because I think he's only going to get better. So we'll see. Nolan Shanwell, go pick him up if you got a spot.
His exit velo.
Is it
What
pretty
does
low?
26 mean? It's very blue.
So yeah, his average exit velocity is 87.3. He's in the 26th percentile. He doesn't barrel the
Yeah.
ball up much.
That's not
But
very,
he's again great plate approach with
does
20%
not strike
chase
out,
rate.
does not chase, does
Yeah,
not whiff. Yeah.
he's excellent in those categories. He's got a good field to hit, but he's just not going to give you a lot of slugging or any of those kind of big power, which is again weird for a first baseman. But we'll take the good field to hit if you got it. If you got a big league.
I had another first baseman on here, but I took him off in the place of someone else. But give me your second waiver wire pickup if you have one.
I only had the one. Just
Okay,
had Kyle.
so I got one for you, Michael
Mm-hmm.
Massey.
Sure.
His roster right now in 2% of leagues, and in the last week for Kansas City, he's on base at a 455 clip with 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. Another guy who this is just easy money. Ride him while he's hot. If you drop him in a week, who cares? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Find him, plug him into your lineup. He's 9 of his last 21, hitting. He's almost batting 500. So I would, and it's not like this is this is not just a recent trend, because if you look at the last month, he has a 311 on base percentage. So this is not, obviously most of the production has come in the last week with the 2 homers and the 7 RBIs. But hey, it's a low risk, high reward.
Yeah, and Massey was one of those guys that, especially last year, I remember people were all over him, and this year, and I think it's one of those. All the underlying stuff was like, yes, he's going to break out, and then it never happened, and so he just kind of fell into that territory. Free agent, waiver wire, you pick him up for a little bit. I would pick him up too, and I think that's a good call because if he does turn a corner, this is a very valuable asset to your team, or could potentially be a very valuable, middle infield kind of guy. So. I think it's a good call out if you have the extra space. Michael Massey could be a game changer.
All right, let's get to our pitchers to stream. So I have 2. Do you have one?
I have 2. Yeah. So
all right, so go ahead.
My first one is Andrew Haney.
I liked him, but I hate his second start.
Sure. So I guess I only looked at his one start throughout the week. Who is he against
second
again?
Start
he's at Colorado. Yep.
Yeah.
In Colorado. So
Colorado.
Understandable.
And he's a fly ball pitcher. So
yeah. And the reason why, I mean, it's kind of tough, right? He hasn't won a game this year. His ERA sits over 5. So, I'm not, again, telling you he's going to go in and shove, but his start is tomorrow against the Oakland Athletics, who, surprisingly enough, I don't know if you saw their game today.
20 runs.
So maybe their offense is maybe they got something. I don't know, but
maybe they're playing the Marlins.
Yeah, I think that's more the
way,
case.
I was shocked. They're 18 and 17.
They're
the A's. They're
not
well. They're bad, but they're not as bad as the Marlins. They're not as bad as some of these other teams, right?
What if I told you they're 8 for their last 10 games they've won? 8-2 in their last 10.
They're better than Houston.
Yeah. They got 5 games on Houston, but they still have one of the lower scoring off. I mean, they scored 124 runs. I actually don't know how they've won as many as they have. So even though on paper they're about 500, they still don't have a great offense. And those 124 runs that they've scored, that's with the huge game that they've had. So I would start Andrew Haney tomorrow if you need a start or just looking for some extra innings to start the week. He had a great start last week against Washington. He went 7 innings, just 4 strikeouts, but 1 earned run. So one of those, I'm just going to ride him until, he has a bad matchup, like maybe at Colorado, I'm not starting him, but I'm going to start him against Oakland.
I told you I liked Ben Lively last week.
That's mad.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
I told you I liked him last week, and I was
Yeah,
right.
you were.
Mean, 6 1/3 against Boston, only 4 1/3 against Atlanta, but only 2 earned runs, only 2 walks in those games. And he had, I can't find the strikeouts. He had 12 strikeouts in those 2 games in 10 2/3 innings. I mean, Ben Lively, do it again. He's playing against Chicago. Like, he's going to beat the White Sox. So I'm doubling down on my Ben Lively pick. I am out here to tell you I was right. I'm always right, other than we'll get to something in a second. But I'm almost always right. And I was right about Ben Lively. And so I'm doubling down. Give me Ben Lively. And you had him also. So talk about Ben Lively.
No, and I actually think you missed his last start because he started yesterday against the Angels because you quoted his.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
Mm-hmm.
I went. Yeah, sorry. 6. You're right.
But keep going.
3 walks in that game. 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, only 1 run again. So 1 run each of his last 3 games. I mean, Ben Lively. Take a bow.
How can you not start him against the White Sox? Like, he's hot.
Yeah, and they stink. We talk about teams that stink. They stink.
Yeah, he's looked great. He should have no problem keeping it going. So yeah, he was my other streamer.
He's still on my team. I didn't drop him. I never did.
Proud of you, Rami. That was a good call on you. Who's your other streamer?
I only picked him up because his name was B Lively, like Blake Lively. And look at him now.
So those little thing. It's like the lady who picked the best March Madness bracket based on the
yes, it's the
mascots, which mascots would win.
Like
yeah.
That's
how you do it. Oh, is it really cool? How wholesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my other streamer.
Like it?
I love it, of course. Who's your other streamer? Who do you got?
My other streamer is and I don't know if I'm allowed to plug it, so I won't plug the hat, but look into it. My other streamer is Tyler Anderson. Sure. Because he's starting against the Pirates and then likely Kansas City. So he might not be available. I think he's rostered
68. I see in Fangraphs.
Yeah, so it was a little lower. It was like 48, and it's still not a ton. Like you said, there's 35% of leagues essentially if you're in a fantasy hardo league, or probably like closer to 50% of leagues if you're in like a Yahoo league. That he's not rostered. So, and he's going to have 2 favorable matchups this week. So, Tyler Anderson.
I like him. He's got I didn't realize too until you said this.
He's got like a 2.08 ERA or something like that.
Yeah, 2.23, but he's also got 4 quality starts out of 6 starts. That's impressive. Good for him.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Speaking
of
quality, we had some guys give us quality this week, and we crowned them with our MVP of the week. I have 2 because I have a hunch of where you were leaning. So if you use one, I don't.
You have no idea. I bet it's not. Bet you have no idea.
Okay, well then
let's hear. Them. Yeah, no, let's hear.
No, I want to hear yours
because you have 2.
No,
you have 2. No, now you got to wait because you have 2. Go, you go, and then I'll go, and then.
Oh, damn it.
Where'd you think I was going? I'm curious.
I thought you were going Jurickson Profar.
No, but he's good. Yeah,
because you mentioned him as your who's hot last week. So that's why or earlier this week. That's why I wanted to go there. He actually is 13 of his last 23, which is stupid. 600 on base, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, a stolen base, runs, 6 runs. So across the board production, been really good. And I know who your other guy is. I know where you're going with this, but I'll let you do it.
I don't think you do.
Okay, go.
What team does he play for?
A's.
No.
And he's available in most leagues.
He's in that same division. And this guy is probably not available in most leagues anymore. But I bet he was when the season started. He is triple eligible at second, short, and third base. Do you know who I'm talking about yet? It is Luis Rengifo of the Los Angeles Angels. I have him on quite a few teams, especially, he was one of those last kind of round dart throws that, hey, this guy's eligible a lot. He had some good stretches last year. And he's been locked in. So he has a hit in each of his last 7 games. And if you compile his last 9 games, he's
also eligible at outfield in some leagues, by the way.
Some leagues, yeah. Mine he is not. But his last 9 games, 13 for 31, 2 home runs, 7 runs, 6 RBIs. Love the multiple position eligibility. I can plug him in at second, third, short, like I said. And he's getting everyday playing time, right? We love that. He's kind of bouncing all over the field. And on the season, he's hitting 330, and he's got 9 stolen bases. This guy was getting picked 200-300, like around pick 200-300, whatever, like late. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but for that kind of draft pick and for him to be turning this value is just unbelievable. So Luis Rengifo, he doesn't get talked about enough. But if you're in any sort of 12-team league and he's still available, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, the other guy I was going to mention was Brent Rooker. He's only rostered in 29% of Yahoo leagues, and over the last week, a 450 on base, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, a stolen base also, and 4 runs scored. So production across the board. Also stole you a base. He only stole 4 last year. He was a 30 home run guy though last year. He had only 69 RBIs last year, and he's already up to 20 this year. So the RBIs could be, coming fast this year, and he's got his on base percentage up this year as well. Actually, it's the same as last year, 329, the exact same. But over the last month, it's 391. So I mean, he's been up, and we talk about riding the waves with guys, but you could actually go pick him up and plug him into your outfield, because even if you're just looking for homers, he's going to get you homers. So if nothing else, he's going to get you that, but he's probably going to get you solid on base and maybe some production. It's easy to get production when your team scores 20 runs in a game.
one time. Yeah. And
yeah, exactly.
But
hopefully we can ride that a little bit. Now, before we get to lock of the week, hand up. I was wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong. I'm a man.
Sure, it happens. We're all wrong.
Javi Baez sucked this week. He was awful, as he always is.
He's always awful. Yep. Yes. Could have seen that one.
Why did you believe me? Why did you think that Javi Baez was going to be good? Don't listen to me. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you? I'm like in last place in every fantasy league I'm in. Just kidding.
Don't say that. No, I'm curious. I was in the camp, and I still am. If the Tigers, I mean, I know they're playing better, and we just talked about it, right? I still feel like there's a player in him who can go 15-15 and hit 220, and that's probably his peak, his ceiling right now.
15-15 hit 220. That's not good enough for any fantasy team.
No, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
They said some crazy stat on the broadcast that if Juan Soto got out like 500 times in a row, he'd still have a higher on base percentage than Javi Baez.
It's probably more than that.
What?
I mean, yeah.
No,
it's too bad. The decline in him has just been unbelievable. Like, nobody saw that coming 3-4 years ago.
I mean, I saw it coming when he was on the Mets, and he was like thumbs downing everyone, and then they gave him that ridiculously overpaid contract. Now, I didn't think he'd be this bad, but I didn't think he was worth the money that the Tigers gave him. Who's your lock of the week? I have someone else.
So I did have Dalton Varsho on here, but I took him off because I felt like that was a little. I talk about him a lot. I like him. I'm a big fan of Varsho. I still feel like he's probably in most lineups anyways, even though he's been better. But my lock of the week is a guy who hasn't been doing great. This is more of a feeling thing for me, and that's Dansby Swanson for the Chicago Cubs. If you have him and you're between him and I don't know who else, maybe, a similar guy, I'm going to roll with Dansby. And again, it's a feeling. I've been watching him play. I know he struggled defensively a few times. He's already made 4 errors this season, but today he hit a home run, and it was beautiful. It was magnificent. He looked great. He looked locked in at the plate. He made a couple great defensive plays, and the reason why I also felt this is because now Nico Horner has really started to get it going, and he was a guy who started off extremely slow. So maybe it's kind of like one of those. Okay, now that Nico's getting going, now it's Dansby's turn. We're going to get Suzuki back. We're going to get Belly back. Like, I think we know he's not this bad of a hitter. Like, he's not going to blow the cover off the ball all the time, but I expect better days. And I think they are coming very, very soon.
I will say about Dansby, I did read an article that he is getting hotter, and a reason to believe. There's this article on MLB.com, reason to believe why Dansby Swanson will get it going or something like that soon. So yeah, it's a good call out. My guy's definitely in your lineup, but people listening to this, maybe they play DFS, daily fantasy or whatever, or stuff like that, or you're looking at obviously, gambling and stuff like that. It's all kind of in the same realm, in the same field. So he's definitely in your lineup if you own him, but he's going to have an incredible week. And I mentioned him earlier because I mentioned that if this guy got out 500 times in a row, he'd have a lower he'd have the same on base as Javi Baez. Juan Soto is playing against the Astros this week. So, set off your alerts Juan Soto versus the Astros. You know what happens when Juan Soto plays the Astros. My boy, Emmanuel Babari, shout out, is going to be on the call for the Yankees. And I was just talking to him, and we were talking about the series, and we were excited. And so I'm going to be working with him. I'm going to be producing the games. He's going to be broadcasting the games. Hey, if we swapped, I wouldn't mind. But no, just kidding. He's great. He's really good play-by-play dude. So if you want to listen to Yankee radio, listen to my boy Manny. But yeah, Juan Soto. This is what matters. Juan Soto. He is fantastic, and he crushes the Astros. He loves beating the Astros. He had the big 3-run double today for the Yankees to win their game and sweep the I don't know why I can't say their team. The Detroit Tigers.
I was going to say, you said it earlier. Yeah.
I know. So big stuff coming from Juan Soto. He's always great, but expect him to go bat 500 in this series and hit a bunch of home runs against Houston, because he tends to do that. Especially, he's going to be facing Justin Verlander for the first time in a while. So I expect him to hit a home run off Justin Verlander. There, I said it. I think that's
your DFS. That's what you're going
to do. Wednesday or Thursday's game. I think he's going against Verlander, and I think he's going to homer off Verlander. So anytime home run, bet it.
Did you lose money then on the Javi Baez anytime home run? Did you even put money down on that?
I did not. That's how, by the time it got to the Yankee series, that's how broken I was. I was like, this dude stinks. Wow. I didn't even bet it. I was like, man, this guy really sucks. I was still holding out hope. I was really hoping that he would do well against the Yankees. I really thought he would. But then the Tigers came into New York and just sucked for 3 games in a row. They couldn't score for 3 games.
Verlander is scheduled to go Tuesday.
Okay, so I said Wednesday or Thursday, so naturally he's pitching Tuesday.
Right? That's May 7th.
I knew that
right?
the second I said Wednesday or Thursday, I was like, yeah, it's definitely going to be Tuesday.
It's probably Friday, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I don't think they're playing each other Friday, so that's where that is.
That
Thursday's game is a 5 p.m. I only know this because my work schedule, but it's a 5 p.m. start because the MLB Network showcase game or whatever. Yeah, cool. So it's not cool. It's really weird. I have to get to work way early. Anyway,
can you tell Gleyber Torres to pick it up?
No, I want him off the team. I want him gone. I'm done with him. I'm done with the experiment. He's not a winning player. Did you see the play against Baltimore?
No.
Crucial spot in the game. Yankees down a couple runs, but still tight. Runner on first. There's a ground ball up the middle. Volpe makes a nice play to grab it, flips it to Gleyber. He tries to barehand it.
I did
drops
see that.
it.
Yep.
Doesn't get the out at second. Doesn't get the out at first. Would have been an easy double play. Get Rodon through that inning. Instead, he gives up 3 more runs in the inning. The game gets blown open. They end up going down 5 or 6 runs. It's time and time again. Carelessness on the base pass. And then he comes back and he hits a home run the next inning. It's woo! Gleyber Torres hit a solo shot. Shut up, Gleyber. I am so done with him. And not as a fantasy guy. I still like him for fantasy baseball, but I think the Yankees need to trade him. He is so clearly not a part of the future of this team. And I know DJ's not back yet, which, by the way, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. Yeah.
The Yankees. And it's covered up because they're 23 and but at that point, when they lost that game to the Orioles, you realize they were 8-9 in their last 17 at that point. So now they've won 3 in a row, so it looks good. But it's just I've had enough of him. He's not a winning baseball player, and we've tried so many times. And you got rid of Gio Urshela because that was a bad influence. You got rid of Gary Sanchez because that was a buddy of his that was a bad influence supposedly. No, those guys are both better elsewhere. You know what I mean? And and he still is still making the same dumb mistakes. And they're supposed to help. Oh, you bring in Verdugo, you bring in Juan Soto, and you talk about putting him, getting under their wings, the pressure of Oswaldo Cabrera playing well, and all these things. Yeah. None of it has helped. This guy is broken when it comes to just basic fundamentals and carelessness. And I think at some point, and this is such a rant that has nothing to do with fantasy baseball, but the podcast is over. So if you want to leave. I don't care. Last year, Aaron Boone said, yeah, he plays with a certain lackadaisicalness of the way he plays. That's not good. That's awful. That's terrible. And it's frustrating to say the least.
Sure.
And I'm frustrated and I'm done with it. And so unless you have anything else, I'm done with Gleyber Torres.
DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Boone said today, he resumed hitting, but that he, quote, may not be that close to getting ready for rehab games.
Aaron Boone's a liar anyway. So even if he says something positive, I fucking hate Aaron Boone. And I don't hate him. I like him a lot. And as a person, he's a good dude. I just don't like. I don't like him as a manager, as a baseball manager, because he lies. That's first of all to the media and to the fans, which is just like, why do that? And then he has like no conviction. Like it never feels like they're his decisions. It feels like it's all collaborative, like
front office kind of stuff.
My buddy Sal Licata in New York here calls him a data applicator.
Sure.
And Boone hates it. Boone has talked about, he's like, all right, call me that. Like he doesn't like it, but
yeah, right.
I think he's right. Like I wouldn't like being called that either, but I think Sal's right. You miss managers, and I know this is across the league, who like used to manage with their gut. You know what I mean? And like, it's stupid. Like it's like a stupid, like old timey baseball thing. Oh, manage with your gut. But at the end of the day, like sometimes you just need to have a feel for things. And it feels like he never, whether he has it or not, he doesn't use it. And I think he does. He's a baseball lifer, right? And like hearing him talk about baseball and just talk about baseball when like last year when the Yankees stunk and like it was getting repetitive, John Boy peppering him with the same stupid questions about the Yankees. They started talking about like a bunch of other stuff later in the year. And it's so cool to see what a great baseball mind he has. And it's frustrating that he doesn't use it to benefit the Yankees. And that's kind of upsetting. So there's my little Yankee rant. So if you guys are Yankee fans here, I'm a New York guy. I'm a big Yankee fan, and I'm happy they're 23-13, but I still think there can be improvement. And I think, part of Gleyber Torres' lack of success is an Aaron Boone thing. They traded, they got rid of, and I know, Girardi never managed Gleyber, but they got rid of Girardi because he was, quote, too hard on the young guys. And Boone, I think, is too soft on them. Like you make the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's because someone's not holding you accountable for them. And that's a big, that's a big knock on Aaron Boone. So it's going to be another guy. They had to get rid of Sanchez. They had to get rid of Gio. Like, again, it's going to be another guy. And Clint Frazier never got it together, never like lived up to his potential. The Knicks are playing in the playoffs right now. And the reason they're so good is because they don't have a single first round, or the highest draft pick on their roster, I think, was like a 17th overall pick. They don't have a top 15 pick on their roster, and they're mostly second round picks. And the reason they're so good is because Tom Thibodeau gets the most out of every single one of his players, their head coach. Like, no matter, and this from his days with the Bulls, right? Everyone on the team is outperforming their career averages right now under him. And to me, Aaron Boone has never gotten the max. And it shows because the year he took over they went to Game 7 of the ALCS against Houston, and they haven't gotten that far since. They've gone to Game 6. That's the furthest they've gone of the ALCS. So that just tells you that Aaron Boone still hasn't gotten them back to the point that Girardi had them at. So I don't know why, we did this little Aaron Boone rant here, but it's frustrating.
One of my, as a Tom Thibodeau fan, one of my favorite things, I don't know if he still does this, but when he was coaching the Bulls, as the game goes on, he's never sitting down. He's always pacing back and forth across the bench, and he's yelling and never sitting down. He's always just love
right in front of the scorer's table. And if you sit close enough at a Knicks game, you could hear him yelling the whole time. And it's really a great experience to sit there and watch him. Just watch him, and not even watch anyone else. Watch him.
He's intense, and you're absolutely right. He gets the most out of everyone.
They're up 25, and he's yelling at whoever's on the floor. Like if they miss a rotation on defense, if they make a bad play, he hates bad fundamentals. He hates bad basketball. He doesn't care if you're winning by 25, you're losing by 25. He's going to let you hear it because he just hates bad basketball. And yet at the same time, he does build everyone up, and he does elevate everyone. And he does, bring everyone to get the best out of everyone, get the most of it, and motivates everyone. So it's like this combination of both ways. And there's such a great story. So I'll end on this because totally not fantasy related again. But there was a great story about him in The Athletic by Fred Katz that they basically the rule of thumb in the NBA is that if a game starts at 7 p.m. or later, you have shoot around earlier in the day. But if it's an earlier game than 7 p.m., you won't have shoot around because the guys are going to be tired, so you don't have it. Now, the biggest predicament Tom Thibodeau had was because it was the day that we sprung forward, right? The clocks changed. So it was a 7 p.m. game, but it was really a 6 p.m. game, right? Because the night before, 2 a.m. jumped to 3 a.m. So technically, it's a 6 p.m. game. Anyway, he decides last minute, you know what? I'll let the guys rest. I'll cancel shoot around. because it's really a 6 p.m. start, not a 7 p.m. start. So I'm not going to do shoot around. The Knicks lose 79-76 or 73, the lowest scoring game in the NBA this season. The only game in the NBA where both teams scored under 80 points. The Knicks actually played really well, but could not shoot in that game. And apparently for weeks afterwards, Tom Thibodeau bemoaned the fact that he complained that he was saying it was because he canceled shoot around. So just like the type of guy he is, it's just, I mean, I love it. I love him so much. And like, maybe I'm spoiled that I have that with my basketball team, but Aaron Boone, just bringing it back to the baseball, is not that guy. And Gleyber Torres, I do think ultimately will be on a different team later this season. So as it relates to fantasy baseball, I don't know if that's a contender. I don't know if it's not a contender. I don't think Gleyber Torres is Yankee come August 1st.
All right. Well, we'll pencil that in for a prediction and follow up with it. I like it.
All right, Vince. Appreciate you. Had a fun time tonight as always. And until next time, I'll see you. All right.
Sounds good, Rami. See you Wednesday.